Hello, everyone. I am Chris Bell, and I am here to talk to you about a very touchy subject, and it's suicide among military members and veterans. And the goal of my speech today is to inform the audience or inform you about the rising rate of suicide among military members and veterans. Now, the goal of the speech is to kind of just give you guys a clear picture of how real and how fast this has transitioned into a very, very large subject. Um, and suicide among military members and veterans is nothing new. It's been around for a very long time, but within the last recent decades, it has really hit groundbreaking numbers. So during this speech, I'll be covering some of the reasons military members and veterans are committing suicide. I'll cover how the rates have grown in the recent decades. And then lastly, I'll discuss how different branches along with the VA are actually coming together to combat suicide in general. So let's kind of take a trip down memory lane and I can give you some more information. So suicide itself is a very touchy subject, especially when it hits close to home. Myself, I have lost friends and family members to suicide. And the idea of someone taking their own life, some people view that as a very selfish act. But in all actuality, there's no real reason, like rhyme or reason why it happens. It's because there is a rhyme or reason, but there's different dynamics that go into it. So it's not just one basic reason of why people do it. There's multiple reasons that people think that suicide is the only way out. Now, this is not because of any neurological lack. There's no medical cause, and there's honestly really no treatment, no true treatment. Like if you had a cold or something, there's no real treatment behind, combating suicide. So sometimes, experiences with losing a friend in combat, financial issues, family issues. Some military members and veterans are homeless. These are some of the influential factors that are behind suicide. Now, in 2005, the total number of suicide among military members and veterans since 2005, it has skyrocketed from 5,787 to 6,139 as of 2017. Now, according to the 2019 National Veteran Suicide Prevention Annual Report, since 2008, the annual veteran suicide death rate exceeds 6,000. Now, most of you might think that's not a high jump, but if you go back to the 1980s, 1990s, the rates weren't that high. So in 2018, it showed that 40 more service members took their lives, which was higher than the year before. The military deaths reflect a national trend, and the U.S. suicide rate as a whole has increased 33% since 1999. Now, in 2017, the suicide rate among active duty troops was 21.9% of the per deaths of 100,000 people in the United States, which was an increase since 2016. So I'm going to tell you what the VA and the military branches are doing to try to get a hold of this. Okay. So the military and the DoD, they have definitely, when they want to spearhead this, so they've taken notice to military members and veterans losing their lives. And the VA recently has released the Signs, Ask, Validate, and Encourage, or SAVE, which is an online suicide prevention training video that educates and supports those military members, veterans, military families, and veteran families. So this is something that covers, it's all across the board, which is called SAVE. Now, the military, on the other hand, me being Air Force, the Air Force, we've had a large influx in suicides. I'm security forces, and we currently hold the national record for suicides per military branch if you break it down by your career field. So the Air Force has the ACE program, Ask Care Escort. They offer the Military Crisis Hotline, which is a 24/7 assistance hotline, as do the Army, Navy, and Marines. The Army also uses ACE. Now the Navy and Marines, they used ACT, or Ask, Care, Treat, It's a little bit different from ACE just because of the verbiage, but it still has the same message across the board. And this is for, those members who are returning from combat, wounded in combat, or have lost somebody to combat. So as you can see, I know it's a brief overview, but as you can see, suicide among military members and veterans has always been there. The subject in general is very hard to discuss, especially if you've lost someone. But the DoD and all branches of military are working hard to get this under control. Suicide is a very unpredictable event, and when something happens due to many of the different circumstances, it's one of those things where resiliency during those situations would definitely help lower how many people we lose each year.